Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast. I'm Lyssa Lizards.
I'm Neptune the Chameleon.
And we're your reptile girlies. We are back.
Barely
surviving.
But we are back. It's been a while.
It's been, has it been 3 weeks?
Two weeks?
It's definitely been 2 weeks, maybe three.
Yeah.
Two and a half.
Yeah.
So it's been a hot minute, and we have been all over the place. So
Yes.
We obviously were in Florida for AnimalCon, and we're running on fumes getting back.
Oh, yeah. It was like, I say there's two types of vacations.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And technically, this was not a vacation. This was a work trip, to be very clear.
Which, something I was talking to Logan about is that my brain is having a really hard time computing like vacation versus like work trip, right?
Yeah.
And so that's something that's like taking some adjusting that I need to be better about and like differentiating the two.
We did take two
We did.
vacation days. I'll give you.
This is true.
I'll give those days. But vacations, you either have like the relaxing, like do nothing vacations, or you have the like go, go, go.
I like to call those working vacations.
Like 6 museums in one day. You're walking 10 miles, like, and technically you're on vacation, but you're exhausted.
And that's what my family my family's like really big skiers. I've never been a big skier. I tore my ACL after several years of skiing and I will never do it again. But my family used to always call skiing trips like working vacations because by the end of it, you're like exhausted.
You need a vacation
and sore.
from your vacation.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's one of those. And going to Disney, which we did, and going to AnimalCon, which we did, is like that.
Yes. Where I need a break from all that, which I did end up getting a break, but it's because I was like super, super sick.
Yeah.
Like really sick.
Which is why this episode is a teensy bit late for our early access subscribers. Yeah. So we appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much for your understanding. You would have not even wanted us to record it. Like my voice was so bad.
She was sending me voice memos. It was so bad. I was like, okay, I'm all for being like real and transparent on the pod. Like it's okay if you have like a little bit of a scratchy voice. Like,
I still am a little I'm not quite there. Yeah.
But y'all did not want to hear her like 4 days ago.
No, it was bad.
So rough. No, I felt so bad for you.
We flew back on Monday and it was like Sunday, the last day of the show, that I was like, there's a tickle in my throat. And I told you, I was like, something's brewing in here.
Yeah.
Then Monday we flew back and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely got something.
It was when we were in the airport, you were like walking and you looked at me and you were like, the tickle has not gone away. And I was like, oh no.
So it's like, it's like committed.
It was coming.
Then Tuesday I was like, for sure sick. Wednesday went to urgent care. Like that's how like quickly it just escalated.
So rough.
And I had no voice.
No, it was like
literally no voice on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I went to urgent care. They like tested me for a strep, came back negative.
Which is a win. We'll take that win, right?
But then they also were like, but we don't know what it is. So we're just going to give you like steroids and antibiotics. And then, of course, once I leave urgent care, the pharmacy was closed for like their 30-minute lunch.
Oh, of course.
So I was like, great.
Like, I just want to go home and have all my meds and all my comforts and never have to leave my house again.
Exactly. So then I was like, you know what? I'll just go to McDonald's and get like an icy.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't really swallow or like eat anything.
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
Worst. I weighed myself this morning. I've lost 5 pounds.
I'm not surprised.
Like actually, since when we left for Orlando to today.
I'm not surprised. And the amount of food that we ate, you should not have lost weight.
I know. I know.
Absolutely
I lost 5 pounds.
That's crazy.
Anyway, so I go to the McDonald's drive-thru and I'm like, I'm just going to get like an extra large, like icy or something. I'm trying to order with no voice. Aww. And the guy was like, go ahead, whenever you're ready. And like, do you have any questions? Hello? I'm trying to order my icy.
I just want a slushie.
That was a perfect impersonation. That's exactly what it sounded like.
Can I please have my slushie?
You're nailing it. Those sound just like
I feel
me.
So bad for you, but also bad for the poor McDonald's
and
guy.
there was a leaf blower, of course, right? So I'm like basically trying to yell, and the guy's like trying to be so patient, and I was basically like, screw this. So then I just drove around to the pay window.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
And I'm like, hello, can I have? Like I'm literally like whisper yelling because I can't make any noise. This is why we could not even try to film the podcast. Like, I'm all for powering through.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trust me, nobody powers through like we will. But
that was like, I was out for the count. So anyways, I got my extra large, like, blue raspberry icy.
those are good, by the way. It was good. I like the blue raspberry ones.
And I stuck it in my car. I put the straw in, and then it just, like, overflowed, exploded, like, all over my cup holder. So it was just a great day.
So you've had a week.
It's just a great day.
You've had a great week.
So, anyways, we're here. We made it. Today's like, I'm probably at like 90%.
Yeah, you're close. You're almost there. You're almost there. I can hear like a little bit of
just a little bit, and I've got to cough a little bit. So apologies if I cough in this episode, but yeah, it was a little rough there, guys.
Yeah, AnimalCon will wear you down for
sure. A lot of people got sick, and then they did Tinley this past weekend.
I don't know how people are doing Tinley. If you are listening and you were one of the people that went from AnimalCon to Tinley, like,
kudos.
More power to you. I wish I could be that girl. I could not be that girl.
No, I would have like literally died.
No, absolutely not. So more power to the people who did. But
we will be at Tinley in the spring. Yes. So we love the Tinley show, and like Tinley. If it wasn't literally back-to-back weekends,
we would have done both.
We would have done it, and I think this coming AnimalCon, I think there's a couple weeks
in between.
So we'll probably be more likely to kind of swing something like that. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, we did Disney, so I guess we can start there, which worked out in our favor.
Oh my gosh, yes, because post AnimalCon, a lot of people had planned to do Disney post AnimalCon, and because of Hurricane Milton that came through, which is insane. Can we quickly discuss the fact that we flew in after a hurricane and flew out before the next one? That was crazy.
The 2 days before the airports like closed, Disney closed, like every like Florida closed.
Wild. Like we barely missed it going in and going out. Like it was wild.
We were contemplating if we made the right decision doing Disney before, because like our feet were toast.
Oh my gosh. No, I was dying. And I think it was actually in the hotel room. We had switched hotels from like our Disney part of our trip into the AnimalCon part. And I think it was when we got to the AnimalCon hotel. And I told you, I was like, we should do, if we do Disney again next year, we should do it after, because, and then the hurricane hit. We were like, never mind.
Just kidding.
That was a good call.
We're trying to like refund their Disney tickets and stuff. So it ended up working out exactly how it should have. I don't know if I got sick from Disney or AnimalCon or somewhere in between, because like Disney's just a little petri dish, and then airports, and then multiple whatever. So
one of us was bound to get sick. Let's be real. Like
I went to Disney World last year. I also got sick after that. So
I mean, it's,
Disney 2, me zero.
Yeah. But so our Disney part of our trip was very, very, very fun. So we did 2 days at Disney. The first day we did Animal Kingdom, which I kept accidentally calling AnimalCon because
they were interchangeable.
And then the second day we did Epcot, which was super fun. So we loved both. But what are, like, you want to talk about any of the highlights?
Yeah. So last year I did Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and then the Universal parks. Yes. So these are basically the only two I didn't do last year. Yeah. So Animal Kingdom was super sick. The Avatar World was really cool. I really enjoyed that. I'm a big Lion King fan. Maybe we can mention that.
Yeah, we both have
shirts,
our guys. If you're watching,
adorable sweaters.
If you're watching on YouTube, check out our shirts. They're super cool, and they are perfect for our two personalities.
Yeah, I've got like classic Lion King logo, bright orange.
And mine is, of course, Scar and the hyenas.
And the hyenas, love that guy.
So cool.
So seeing all the Lion King stuff was sick.
Yes.
Being able to see like the reptiles within Animal Kingdom was surprisingly cool.
No, it was really cool.
The gorilla was definitely like highlight for me.
The tiger was a big highlight for me.
The tiger was cool. Yeah, Animal Kingdom was sick. I'll be honest, I was always in the impression it was like a glorified zoo, but like there was way more to it than I thought there was.
Yeah, so. Like they have all the animal exhibits, but there's also a lot of rides, a lot of stuff.
And the Disney merch was way better.
It was so good. So good.
Way better, because they had a good mix of like old Disney and new Disney. And when I was at like Magic Kingdom and those other parks last year, it was like all new Disney. Like the movie Wish, I'm like, what? I don't want a sweater with this little star on it. Like I want like old school. I want like a Hercules shirt, you know?
Oh, there was not nearly enough Hercules representation anywhere.
I think there was none.
Yeah.
I didn't see any.
Well,
maybe the pins, right? They had a couple Hercules pins. I
yeah.
take that back.
For sure.
Also,
for
I have
sure.
some beef with these Disney pins because I'm a big keychain girly, and don't get me wrong, like the pins are cool.
See, I'm a pin girly, so I don't have the same beef you have.
I just have both. Okay.
I know.
Like you want to have the pins. I get that. It's super trendy. I do think they're adorable.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't have any desire to have them. But then I also still need my keychains.
Yes. She's been collecting
lacking.
keychains forever. So
Yeah.
everywhere we went, she was like, do you guys have any keychains? And they were like, no. So it was very disappointing.
Very disappointing. No, Animal Kingdom was cool. I enjoyed it.
It's probably one of my favorite parks, and the Pandora avatar aspect of it all is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
The one thing I was disappointed in was that we couldn't see the Pandora area at night because it lights up just like it does in the movie.
The park closed at like 6.
Which is one of the downsides. So if you go to Disney in the summer, that's one of the downsides. It closes, more so when the sun sets or before. So I had seen it at night in the past, and so I was very excited to show you, and I didn't get to show you.
I know.
So.
Something for next time. So
Yes. And
that
then
was cool.
Epcot was super cool too because we did the around the world thing, and they had the food and wine festival going on. So we got all these, which was great that we could do this together because I've done Epcot. One of my best girlfriends in the whole world since I was a small child was a Disney cast member previously. And so I went with her, but she usually had like a shift.
Yeah.
So I've done the around the world thing by myself. And so it was really nice having you there because we could like split everything and it was very cost efficient and also delicious.
Yes.
So,
No, those were really good. And I don't really have memories of Epcot as a kid. I've went to Disney a bunch, but like we were a really big roller coaster family, right? So we did Universal a lot because they've got like the Hulk ride and the Spider-Man ride and like all those big rides. I will say, don't sleep on the Gardens of Galaxy ride though.
That was amazing.
That was at Epcot and that was sick.
And this is something I told Logan on the way back. I don't think I would have done that ride if I didn't go with you, frankly. Because and this was something she and I talked about before going to Disney. She's a big roller coaster girly.
Big time.
Not a huge roller coaster girly. I am a girly with motion sickness.
Ay.
So I am not a huge roller coaster person. I have very specific rules for which roller coasters I can do, given which ones will make me sick.
Yep.
So
we love the self-awareness.
Yes. And so we like talked about that. And so that was one that like I really was shocked. And I don't think that I would have done it if it weren't for you being there. So I'm very glad because it was one of my favorite rides that we did.
It was sick.
It was amazing.
Neither, like Animal Kingdom and Epcot don't really have like rides.
A ton of rides.
They're very enjoyable parks, but like if you want the coasters, like you're not going to Animal Kingdom, Epcot, which again is really why I haven't gone to them much before. But Gardens of the Galaxy.
It was so good.
If you're a Space Mountain fan, which like I was as a kid, it's like Space Mountain all grown up.
100%. That's what I loved about it so much was I was like, this is better than Space Mountain.
Because all the rides these days have speakers in like the headset. So they're like jamming like 80s music, right? Which is very on brand for Gardens of the Galaxy.
Sure. Yeah.
You feel like you're in outer space and you're like in this dark room similar to Space Mountain vibes. But the like technology is way better and the cart itself is rotating while you're going like up and down.
And just the way they had the room. Like, I feel like Space Mountain, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Space Mountain didn't have as many, like, stars and stuff like that.
That's what I was kind of getting when I meant technology, I guess. Yeah,
I see.
You said it better, but that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah,
literally.
Like the lights and stuff.
The stars were everywhere. Like, it felt like you were in the stars.
But Space Mountain's like a 20-year-old ride, you know? So that's why I'm like, is Space Mountain, like, all grown up with, like, current technology?
And I have to say, we don't have to go that in depth on Disney. We can switch over to AnimalCon here in a sec. But one ride that I personally think has stood the test of time that
I know exactly one.
Love.
Which one you're saying?
I have loved this ride since the 90s, since I was a small child going to Disney with my family. And I literally went into it this week thinking like, oh, it's so outdated. Like there's no way it's going to be that good. And still my favorite ride. And it's going to be really lame and really basic, but it is the Soarin' ride at Epcot where you're in a hang glider and it's so nice and it's so calming and beautiful.
It's very calming.
Yes.
I just was like,
it was just a nice relief and just like chill moment after like walking around Disney for 2 days.
Done.
It was phenomenal. And for it to have, and like you said, Space Mountain is like 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
Soarin' is also 20 years old.
Yeah.
It's still amazing.
No, it was very well done. My only thing I would change for Soarin' is like a temperature change because you're going from like Antarctica to the desert to the, all
That would be
this.
cool.
And so if it could just give you like a little blast of like
hot
or
air,
cold, I
that-
think that would just like really just like tie all your senses
That is
together.
a fabulous piece of feedback.
Because you really do
totally
feel
agree.
like
You
you're
feel
like,
like you're in there.
doing it. Yeah, and I do think they do a little bit with like the smells, unless I
Yeah.
was smelling something
No, you
in the
aren't.
room.
You are correct.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I feel like just a little
And the-
temperature change.
And then they're already blasting air on you
Yes.
for like the breeze.
So you feel like you're flying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just give me just a little warm,
bit
a
of
little
warmth.
cold,
That's
just to like,
That's a great idea.
for anyone
you
who's
should-
listening,
you
take
should
that
design,
little note.
You should design rides. That's
Oh,
so cool.
I love
Yeah.
roller coasters.
So cool.
So
So that was our Disney experience. It was honestly
Yep.
fabulous. I haven't been in a long time, and it was just really good. So
Yeah.
very, very happy with that. But then we went from Disney to AnimalCon, which is
Yes.
its own crazy
yes.
whirlwind experience as well. So I guess we can kind of go day by day doing
Yeah, it's a
our-
3-day event, which is a
Yes.
little bit unique because most reptile shows are
2 days.
expos and they're 2 days. So they break it up to day 1 is like creator
Yes.
industry day.
Industry day.
Yeah, and then the other 2 days are open to
Mm-hmm.
the public, and each kind of have like their own kind of like focus
Yes.
area. So day 1, like I said, was like industry
Yeah,
creator
and-
day.
And what I kind of like about day one is that all of the panels. So for anybody who doesn't know, AnimalCon is a huge 3-day event, like you just said, in Orlando, Florida. And I think the main mission that they had when like founding the whole event was essentially to have a whole event specifically for creators, fans, and animal lovers to like all come together.
Animal
and
content creation.
Exactly.
Hence the animal con.
And convention.
Content convention. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's very fun because it's a ton of creators, but then there are also a lot of people who consume the content that come as well.
Yes.
Plus a lot of people who may not necessarily be content creators, but they have brands and they're vendors at shows, or they're breeders, or they're
Yep.
whatever in the industry.
Or aspiring content
Yeah.
creators, right? It's a really good
Yes.
opportunity to like get your foot in the door and learn some best practices, because all of us consume
Yeah.
content. Like if you're listening to this podcast, you are
Consuming content.
obviously,
Yeah.
and most likely animal content at that if you're
So true.
podcast listener. But this was a really cool event. This is our second time going. We went last year. We haven't like officially said this, but I feel like we're both in agreement of going next
Oh,
year.
absolutely. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's an event that I personally don't ever want to miss.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of fun.
it's probably one of my favorite events of the year. But like we said, the Friday is kind of like the industry day. And
Yep.
I do just want to mention, sorry, my brain's bopping all over the place, but you did just say it's great for aspiring creators.
Yep.
I do feel like we probably have a good amount of aspiring creators who listen, and they do have, you can apply to be a creator, but they do also have like a version of
It's
either
like up and coming.
Yes, I think they called it Creators on the Rise or something like
yes,
that.
yes.
So just an FYI, if you are a content creator or a newer content creator or trying to be a content creator, that is something that they do. So if you have any interest for next year, definitely look into that, because I thought that was really cool that they did that.
Yeah, my first year I applied. I
Right.
didn't get an invitation
Right.
or whatever, but I mean, I got
Yeah.
approved. But I did like put in an application. This
Yeah.
year I didn't have to apply, and so I felt very cool. Like,
That's another thing, real quick, that I just, for anyone who goes to AnimalCon or wants to go, I think everybody needs to understand the amount of imposter syndrome that is occurring at AnimalCon, and
oozing imposter syndrome.
and by some of your biggest creators, right? Like everybody, small, big, medium, like brand new.
Well, we all do this in our rooms, right? To be so incredibly clear.
Yes.
Like we all, like with the exception of like maybe 5 people at this event,
Yeah.
we do not have TV shows.
No.
We do not have like brand network deals.
We're chilling in our bedroom or reptile room or closet for some people who have a reptile
Yes.
room in a tiny space. Like,
Yes.
we're all chilling.
So to be out in the public is like super weird.
Nobody feels like they deserve to be there. Nobody feels like they deserve the platform that they have. Like, it is a wild experience meeting content creators that like
Yeah.
you think are bigger than you, or you think are whatever, and you end up having a conversation with them about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It's wild. So
Yeah.
I just find that really interesting. So for anybody who is going, wants to go, has gone, whatever, just know we're all feeling it.
So the first thing I wrote for day 1, you're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
I wrote better snacks.
It's so accurate. Okay. Yes.
Not that you guys care about this at all, but that's something I wrote down.
So industry day, when you walk in, basically you sign up, you register, you get your like wristband, all that stuff. And for the content creators, there's a room there called the green room.
Yep.
Which is basically just a room for all the content creators
Creators only.
decompress, right? It's basically just the hangout room where you can go and chill and kind of get away from the crazy for a little bit.
Yep.
And so they have snacks. And this year they had a whole selection of teas. And I'm a huge tea girly. I've been posting about it in my stories lately. I've been loving it. But so they had way better snacks this year.
Way better snacks.
It was lovely.
For whatever that's worth. They didn't have lunches last year. They had lunches, but the snacks were top
better.
tier.
The snacks were fabulous. They had a whole box of an array of different teas that I got to choose from every day. It was fantastic. So that is definitely
but day
a
one
good
was
note.
slower,
Yes,
right? And that's to be
much slower.
expected. This people who have like I think VIP passes can attend
Friday.
the industry day, but it's typically panels that are more targeted towards creators.
That and they're bigger panels in the sense that they are all on the main stage. Instead of on Saturday and Sunday, all the panels are like broken up into these like separate
breakout rooms.
Yes, that's what they call them. And so the big panels usually happen on Friday. And like you said, they're very much more geared to like content creators and all of that.
Yeah. So I was on a panel on the big stage and you were on the panel on the big stage. Mine was all about advice for affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super interesting. And honestly,
really cool.
Like I think it'd be so smart of us to go through the AnimalCon panel topics and see which ones would make sense for podcast episodes.
That's
right?
actually a great
Where we
idea.
could just like debrief because like affiliate marketing is such a big
and it's very slept on. Honestly, I feel like in the reptile world, not that many brands do it in the specific reptile niche, and then B, the ones that do are usually like a little harder to get into and things like that. So I do find that very, very interesting.
Let us know in the comments if you guys are interested because both of us do a lot of affiliate marketing and like we don't want to bore you guys with like business talk, but at the same time, like who doesn't want to talk about money and like how you can be profitable. And
but if you're interested, let us know.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. So my panel that was on the big stage was all about like decoding the algorithm and
going
like,
viral.
And so that was really fun just because that's something I love to talk about. And it's also a hard one because I feel like the code to going viral is so different for each account.
All right, sorry guys, I just died for a second there.
Had a little bit of a coughing fit, but we are good.
Breathing is hard sometimes, you know? So anyways, you were I think we were talking about how your panel tips for going viral.
Yes. So we were going through all that and I just love talking about that. I find it very interesting and fascinating and I like getting tips from other creators too because as much as like there is a little bit of a code for like going viral, you never really know. Like I always have like a hunch if something is going to go viral based on like what I know about what works and does well on my account, which is why it's such like a different formula for everybody.
Sure.
So I find it really interesting. And so, but that's one of the benefits of AnimalCon is we can get tips and tricks from other creators. And it's a really fun aspect of it all.
And find out how much some people make from videos. So on your panel,
that was cool.
Someone asked like, what's the most you've made from one of your viral videos? Won't say who, but someone said that they made $23,000 from one video.
And specifically one YouTube video.
Yep.
Which is wild. So me with my measly TikTok money was like,
hey.
So that was really, really cool to find out. So sometimes you get some like little insider info there, which is a little bit fun for all of us nosy Nellies, you know? But yeah, so I think that was the majority of day one. I feel like day one was for me mostly about like kind of like reuniting with everybody and like talking with everybody because since we did do it last year, it was very much like last year it was like meeting everybody for the first time with the exception of a few people that we had met prior at different reptile shows and things. But this one, it was like, oh, we're seeing everybody that we saw last year. And it was, for me, that was my favorite part of day one was like kind of reuniting with everybody, seeing everybody again, catching up. And it was such a weird feeling because it literally felt like we had just been there. It was such a like deja vu of like, it's been a whole year and like a lot has obviously happened in all of our lives and all of our careers and all of our just personal everything. But it felt like nothing had happened.
Yeah.
It literally felt like we had just been there 2 days before. So it was crazy. So that was one of my favorite parts of at least day one. So
I'm gonna need some water. Okay, Lyssa saved the day because now I have a cup of water. So I'm just
Yes.
gonna hold my little cup of water for.
going back on we are the ones that will power through.
I'm powering, man,
She's-
just not well.
She's okay. You are powering through way better than some people would, for sure. So
Yeah. If you saw that last clip, though, if I look like I was dying inside, it's because I was trying so hard not to cough while you
it
were
was
talking.
so funny because I was sitting there watching her, and
My eyes were, like, watering.
Her eyes were watering up, and I was like, "Okay, keep talking, because
so
she's
bad.
not good.
You know what this is? Authentic, okay?
This is genuine."
This is unfiltered. This is the real deal. No, the last thing I wanted to say for day one was the creator party.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I forget about the nighttime events. I didn't jot those down in my notes.
No, you're good. So it was the
Yes.
creator party, which is night one, which again is like just for creators, which is cool. It's usually a catered thing, but that's really fun just to like see people in a different setting, and just to, like you were saying though, like catch up because sometimes it's been a year since you've really like gone to talk with these people. Yeah,
It's so fun. And that's where you kind of have the conversations about like imposter syndrome, this and that.
just
and,
be
like,
real for a second. Yeah,
Absolutely. And speaking of being real for a second, it's funny and it goes kind of a little bit hand in hand with imposter syndrome because, like you said, we're all people that are like in our rooms talking by ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Well, in addition to that, we are all animal people, right? Like some of us are more social than others. Some of us are more like, I would consider myself like an extroverted introvert. I love my downtime, but I am very extroverted and will happily like talk and chat
you
with
hold your
anyone.
own for sure.
Absolutely. But a lot of animal people are also very introverted people, right? And that's kind of to be expected. So like one of my favorite things is the self-awareness. We love the self-awareness from
yes.
anyone. I love it when somebody, and it happens at AnimalCon, it happens at Reptile Expo sometimes, but sometimes someone will be so self-aware that you'll be in a conversation with them and it's the end of the day at one of these events, right? And they will just dead look you in the eyes and be like, this has nothing to do with you, and I really love this conversation, but I need to leave. They're just like, my social battery
Like, I
is
just need to
non-existent.
excuse myself.
I need to go. And literally my reaction when anybody tells me that is I'm like, get out of here. Leave.
Yep.
Go.
Save yourself.
Don't even say another word to me. Leave. I'm good. You're good. I don't take offense. Get out of here.
Not at all.
Get out of here.
No, so you have that. And then the other half that you have, or like the other chunk that you really only see in this setting, are
Yes.
people who are like, I'm going to go herping.
Yeah, that too.
Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
skip the party.
Yeah, I'm going to go
So I can
into
go
the-
herping.
I'm going to go into the swamp with
Yep.
the gators, with the critters, because that's where I belong.
Or they go to the party and then they go herping
Yes.
at like 2 a.m. and
Yes.
we're like in bed at 9. We're like such grandmas at these events.
Because like again, like I'm very extroverted, have been my whole life. My family will probably even laugh at hearing that I call myself an extroverted introvert because they all think I'm a full-blown extrovert, and I am in a lot of ways. But like after 24 hours of socialization, I want to be horizontal in my bed as fast as humanly possible.
And this is like the events start at like 8 a.m. and
8
they
a.m.
go until like 5 or 6 o'clock. And then you have the party
Yeah.
afterwards. So like realistically, I think each day we had like 1 hour in our hotel
Of
just to
downtime.
like chill.
And we, this is one of my favorite thing about our friendship personally, is like when we get that 1 hour, we don't speak to each other.
Oh, no.
We are horizontal in bed, under the covers, on our phone, either editing or like decompressing. And we literally ignore each other for that whole hour.
In the best way possible.
And it's bliss. It's bliss. And just like calmly sitting in a hotel room with one of your best friends, just in pure silence, decompressing from a crazy day. That's just like, I think that's girlhood, honestly.
And then we'll look at each other like, we should probably get ready, right? We're like,
and then
okay.
we start getting ready. It's just like, for me, that's one of the just true moments of girlhood is when you have those friendships that you can just be completely silent with.
Yep.
Be like, I've had a day, you've had a day. Let's not talk about it. Like,
It's the best.
truly. So yeah, so the creator party is really fun. It's a great time to get to kind of like chat with everybody, hang out. So always a big fan of that. But
Day 2 is my favorite day though.
me too. The Saturday is the best day.
Day 2 was awesome.
It was so freaking
What did I
fun.
write down for day 2? Oh, very first thing I wrote down, monkey-tailed skink.
Oh my God. Okay. Yes. I also just have a line in my notes that just says monkey tail. That's it.
That's it.
So literally,
Elaborate.
Yes. So the very first thing that happens at AnimalCon each day is they have kind of like the keynote speech at the beginning of the day.
Like opening panel, opening words of like,
speech.
welcome, blah, blah, blah.
So everybody goes into the main room. We kind of like watch the guys give their speech, and then we kind of go about our day, right? Well, as soon as the speech was over, we were, standing up, kind of like getting ready to like move around. And our friend Matt Baranak, love him. Big fan of Matt. He's also Sessobeck on
And a podcast
Instagram.
listener, so.
Yes.
Hello.
So, Matt, we appreciate you. We love you. And he literally comes right up to me and just has a monkey-tailed skink on his backpack. And I lost it. In the middle of this big main room. I was like, no. So
literally drops to the floor.
Literally just immediately drops to the
like,
floor. And it's just like interacting with this skink.
I'm like filming the whole thing.
I know. So it was amazing. And Matt breeds and keeps, I think he said he has like the second largest collection of monkey-tailed skinks in the country. So he like loves these animals, and he keeps a lot of other species too, and breeds leopard geckos and all kinds of stuff. But I just appreciate, that was like the greatest gift anyone could have ever given me, because not only did I get to like hang out and interact with this animal, Matt let me hang out with him the rest, like pretty much the whole day.
And like, to be clear, by hang out, she means literally holding this monkey tail skink.
Climbing
Her
all
arms
over me.
Are destroyed.
I've
like
still
covered in scratches.
I've still got some scratches.
And she is like a kid in a candy store. And I'm like mortified, right? Because I'm just seeing these like nails just like.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, these are,
this is the best day of my life.
No, I'm like, literally, I will wear this scratch with pride for weeks to come. Like, this is the best day of my life.
So it was a very, very big deal.
Yes, it was. It was very exciting.
And like, as your friend, it was like very exciting to like see you
just
in your element. And
nerd
like,
out.
You've been talking about monkey tail skinks since Tinley in 2021. I feel like is like really when.
Yes.
Like, obviously you were interested before then, but like that show in particular, meeting that one, I feel like really brought them like high on your list.
Because Tenley 2021 was the first time I had ever been around one in person, right? So up until that point, I had only ever like done a little bit of research, seen photos, seen videos, this and that. So it was my first time seeing one in person. And in 2021, it sold me. I was like, I will have a pair of these guys one day.
Yep.
And fingers crossed, Matt is potentially going to have some babies, and I'll probably be buying them. So give me like a year, and I might finally get my pair.
That was a highlight for sure for day 2.
That was a big deal. So we basically went from that. We ended up hanging out in there with the monkey-tailed skink for a while, and then the immediate next thing we did was the podcast with the Reptiles With podcast guys.
Yes.
So we went and filmed an episode with all of those guys, with Yoshi, Chucky, and Eric. So that was a blast. I love getting to do that. Should be coming
out soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said a couple weeks. So whenever, I don't know when this episode will come out in comparison to that episode, but sometime soon. If you haven't checked them out, we know we have a lot of similar listeners who listen to both podcasts, so that'll be a fun kind of best of both worlds.
Little crossover episode, getting to be on theirs. So it was super fun. We love them. They all do like amazing things in the reptile hobby, whether it's breeding, working with wildlife. I know Chucky's worked in zoos, things like that. So it was really, really
it's
cool.
Just a different vibe, right? Than like our vibe, which is just fun. It's like same words, different font or whatever, kind of thing. So it's just fun to talk with people who like understand the grind of a podcast and passionate about reptiles and animals and like building that community. And it was nice just to hear that they spoke very highly of our podcast. And so that was just like very flattering, like very nice to hear. So.
Well, and it's nice validation, you know, for us, because
we think we're doing a good job, but no.
But it's cool when, you know, other people, not just other people, but other people in the industry too, who have had a podcast for a long time, and, you know, like you said, they get the grind and all of that. So it was really fun.
We had a lot of people actually throughout the whole weekend come up and were very complimentary.
It was very
of
sweet.
The podcast, and not just from like a consumer standpoint, but just from like a business standpoint of like how very intentional we are with like our branding and how very thoughtful we are in our like strategy of, you know, what we're posting and everything. And like, that's the kind of stuff that people don't spend as much time thinking about. So that was just really cool to get that acknowledgement because we've put
Yes.
blood, sweat, and tears into this podcast.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Just getting it launched was a lot, frankly.
The blood was shed trying to put up that sparkle wall
It
for
was absolutely
for the show, just to be very clear.
absolutely.
Also, this sign
Yeah.
cut me a couple times
Yeah.
putting it up, so
We're-
blood has been shed
We are not exaggerating.
and some tears.
How long have we been using Pangea gecko food? Like forever, right?
Since we've both had our geckos.
Literally. I mean, it's one of the OG crested gecko food brands. And honestly, one of my main reasons for using them is their vast variety of flavors.
Pluto's personal favorite has to be the watermelon and the fig and insects.
They go crazy for the watermelon flavor. Mine love the watermelon too, and the fig and insects. Those are a top two in my household.
I also have to give a shout out to the silicone cups because that has been a game changer.
They are so easy to clean. You can reuse them.
And you save so much money.
You save so much money on the cups.
So if you're interested in any of these products, head on over to PangeaReptile.com.
After that, so this was the crazy part. Right after filming that podcast, we literally got done with that, checked our phones, and had basically a text from, was it Dan the Turtle Man?
Yep.
It was our lovely friend, Dan the Turtle Man. He had messaged us and was like, hey, do you guys want to do the Zilla Escape Off at 1 p.m.? Mind you,
It was 12 o'clock.
It was like noon. So we were like, oh, yes.
And we also have to eat lunch at some point in this.
So we had to scramble because the only place to eat lunch is the pool bar, which is a little bit of a ways away. So we had to go run, get lunch, come back. And then and so for anybody who doesn't know the Scape Off, Zilla has their quick build enclosures. So the Scape Off is basically building an enclosure and then also scaping the whole inside of it.
Yep.
And there were several different Scape Offs at AnimalCon, like throughout the weekend. There was like the Tarantula Crib Scape Off, the Zilla Scape Off. I think Exoterra did a little one.
Yep,
And so
Zuma did one as well.
Zoomed. So pretty much all the big brands kind of did, a Scape Off. And so I had been talking to Matt, our lovely Monkey Tails kink friend. He had told me that they had basically used stuff from outside.
Yep.
And so we had like literally 20 minutes before the Scape Off was happening. And I looked at you and I was like, do we want to go like forage for
We're
things
literally
outside?
foraging outside.
At a hotel.
Now, up until this point, when Dan asked, the question was, do you and Lyssa
Yes.
want to do the
Yes.
Scape Off?
So we assumed
Us together.
we were doing it together.
Because, I mean, we're kind of a package deal. Like,
Yeah.
we kind of
Yeah.
are attached to the hip. Like, we run...
We very rarely are separated.
Yeah.
And if we are, the other is not close behind.
Yeah, exactly. And so we thought we were going to
Yeah.
do it together. So I'm like getting a stick and you're like getting a thing over
and we
here.
thought it was collective, right?
Yes. So then we get there and they're like, hey, Neptune, this one's yours. And Lyssa, that one's yours.
And we were like, oh.
So we're going like head to head. And her competitive streak came out in
Yeah.
full force.
It was
She was
aggressive.
like, that's my stick. This one's your stick. And this one's my rock. And this one's your rock. And I was like, you mean the rock that I went and said, hey, will you grab that rock? But because she grabbed the rock, it's her rock. And I was just like, I'm not even going to like touch this with a 10-foot
We
pole.
haven't even talked about this yet. I didn't even know your perspective on this. Oh my God.
You got so possessive
I did
over
get
your
really-
sticks and rocks.
I did get really competitive because I love this shit.
And I get
love
that.
it.
But I literally was the one who was like, hey, can you grab that stick?
I didn't remember that.
And then
honestly.
because you grabbed it, you're like, this is my stick. And I was like, you can have the
my
stick.
only like frame of reference was I knew what was in my hands. And that's all that I knew.
You were in the zone. And I was like, you know what?
And there was such a time crunch. So it was very
Oh,
much
yeah,
like
we only had 45 minutes.
no, it was crazy.
To do the whole thing. And that's like build it from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically then we did one more round of foraging after we found out that we were going to be doing it separately,
Yep.
right? And so just a funny note, when we were foraging the first time, we had run into like one of the guys who like runs it. And so we had asked him like, hey, is this cool? Like that we're bringing other stuff.
Yeah.
Because we knew that they had done that for other Scape Offs. And he was like, yeah, don't worry about it. There are no rules. You can do it. And I was like, cool. So when we came back from foraging the second time, which we are like crunch time, check out my video on it. Cause it is literally like, you see me like running and it's like literally 12:59. And so I'm like running in. All of the other people who were competing in the Scape Off start looking and pointing at me, and it's all mostly dudes too. So it was most of the guys being like, hey, where'd you get that? You're cheating, this and that. And I literally turned around and I was like, it's not my fault. None of you asked.
The only rule was that there was no rules.
Exactly. And so I looked, I was like, I asked permission. If you didn't ask, that's your problem, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm telling you, she was so sassy and she was so competitive and was like, I'm going to win this. And I don't care if I knock over a kid doing something. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't knock over any kids, but I probably would have, frankly.
If they were in the way, you'd be like, move. No, I'm just kidding.
It was
it was
funny.
a lot of fun. I was very much outside my comfort zone.
For
but I think
sure, yeah.
it was good. Like, I don't build horizontal enclosures.
Yours are all vertical,
All
arboreal.
vertical.
And that's where you thrive. Like if this was an arboreal enclosure, you probably would have had us all beat, right?
Yeah.
So
If it was a screen enclosure in particular, no one would have stood a chance. I'm like,
yeah.
I build chameleon enclosures. Even my crested gecko is vertical, and I haven't built his enclosure in like 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's been good.
Yeah.
So it was very much outside my comfort zone. My thing that screwed me over, so they had like a pile of goods, think like Hunger Games,
Yes,
right?
literally.
And they say go, and everyone's like running
run.
and like grabbing stuff. I just go for like plants, and then I'm like, I need some sort of substrate. So I grabbed, what was it, cocoa fiber?
Yeah.
Like a block.
The condensed cocoa fiber blocks.
And I opened this sucker, expecting it to go poof. No, it's as hard as a rock, and the instructions are like, soak in 1 gallon of water for like 3 hours. And I'm like, who has water? And like, someone's giving me like their little water bottle.
I felt so bad because, like, okay, so when this all starts, we literally have 45 minutes to build the physical enclosure and scape the entire inside, right?
Yeah.
And so that's like the starting point is you have the structure and everything. And then, like you said, the Hunger Games, we all go grab it. So I knew, for me, I had kind of glanced at the table of stuff. And so I knew that there were a limited amount of bags of substrate. So I knew, and again, just the competition was in my head real crazy. So I knew, I was like, I'm grabbing 2 bags of substrate because there were only a certain amount of them and some of them were sand. And I was like, I'm not going to be caught dead having to build an arid enclosure.
Most people grabbed 1 bag of substrate. She grabbed 2 bags of substrate.
I did.
I'm telling you, she was like,
I was in the zone.
locked and loaded.
In the zone. And then I grabbed as many bushy plants as I could, real and fake, right?
Yeah.
And I was nice. I only grabbed like 1 or 2 real plants. I left the rest for everybody else.
You did, yeah, it was good.
I was considerate.
Also, it's whatever you can carry. So joke's
True.
on them, man, and they should have grabbed more.
So, but there were only like some bags of sand, and I was like, I do not want to be stuck building one of the only arid enclosures. Whoever did the arid enclosure was really good. I just didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So basically, we only have those 45 minutes. And so by the time I realized that you had grabbed like the block of cocoa fiber, there was nothing I could do to help you.
No.
It was chaos. And so basically you had to put this whole structure together, and everybody was really struggling with the actual structure of putting the enclosure together.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was crazy. And so I was able to get that done actually pretty quickly. And I think it's only because I have built not a Zillow one, but a Reptizoo one before. So I had like the tiniest bit of like pre-experience.
I'm not handy in that sense, and that enclosure is not structurally sound whatsoever. So like, they auctioned them off after. I was like, I hope they told people like,
No,
please do not put an animal in here until you like secure it, because
restructured it.
I literally, after, I was like filming a clip of it, and I pushed the door open and it falls out, and I was like, yeah, it's for looks. It's not
For sure.
whatever.
For sure.
But so because there were no rules, like, they said that you could steal stuff. And so Dan the Turtle Man stole substrate from someone else's table, and that's how I ended up back in the game.
Okay. It's so funny you say that, because I was talking to Logan about the scape off after we got back. And I literally said, I was like, I don't even know how she ended up with workable substrate. Now I know why.
Because there's no rules.
Thank you, Dan.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it, but shout out to Dan. He's like, I'll steal it for you. And so he just took it. But
amazing.
I feel like I held my own though.
You absolutely did. I was very
for getting
impressed.
shorthanded with stuff and
Yeah.
like being outside my comfort zone. But
No, truly, like, this is something else that I told Logan afterwards. I was like, I was very impressed with how she pulled it together, given the limited resources that she had, her being so outside of her comfort zone, this not being a normal type of enclosure that you have ever built.
Nope.
Like, your enclosure looked
mine
great.
even had a water bowl.
Yeah.
So.
No, it looked fabulous. Truly.
No,
truly.
it was fun, unexpected. Also on day 2, there were meet and greets. These are like formal meet and greets where people like pay to meet you. So I was lucky enough to get a couple of those. So like that
Yeah.
was really fun to be able to do that. Had an interview with the Timberline guys, talking about bug facts. So
Yeah, that was fun.
that was a good time. What else did I write down? Let's see. Oh, network with creators. That was a panel that I was on, tips for networking. I'll be honest, that one wasn't one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It was just like doing collabs and stuff, and I don't really do a whole lot of collabs.
I think that was the one that I had a panel at the same time as you, so I actually missed that one. So I didn't even catch
Yours
that
was
one.
like busting myths, right?
Mine was like myth versus fact, busting myths in the animal world, which was actually kind of interesting because some of they did a really good job structuring the panel of having like a reptile person, a like big cat person, a like house cat person.
Oh, cool.
So it was like, it wasn't just reptiles. I feel like if it would have been just reptiles, it would have been like a very redundant panel of like, the myth is that they size the snakes size you up and all that stuff. So it's like, so it was cool to have other myths and discuss that for like other types of animals, which I really enjoyed. So that was really fun.
Oh, wait. We have to say how you did in the Scape Off.
Oh, yeah. I got second.
Yay!
I got second place. And I have to admit, okay, so I do have like a little bit of a gushy moment from that because and you know this, we've talked about this.
This is good. Buckle up.
I have been really, 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 really mentally struggling in the last year in a lot of different ways. And one of those ways has been a lot of paralysis in terms of, I'm not diagnosed, but I think it very much stems from ADHD. And I just have a lot of paralysis. And I think I was also dealing with a lot of like imposter syndrome. I haven't built an enclosure in a long time, like from scratch. And I haven't really like scaped one in a while. And I have a lot of upgrades that I'm currently working on that I've been dealing with a lot of paralysis on and just procrastination. And it's been something that has been really, really tough for me. And so this scape off was kind of like really needed. And I don't want to get like emotional about it, but like, it was such a huge confidence booster to not only get second place. I was like very, very proud of that and very excited about that. But it also just like really showed me what I'm capable of again. And that's something I've kind of forgotten a little bit. And to see what I was capable of in only 45 minutes was like a really big, just like not only confidence boost, but like brain boost, just in the sense of like, wow, I can really do this and I can really conquer all the upgrades that I have. And so it's just like, it gave me like a really big burst of like, not just encouragement, but confidence, excitement, all these things. And so it was just like, I really needed that. And so it was really good.
No, that's why when you were like in the zone and you're like, this is my, I was like, take it, right? I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a very competitive person, but I'm like, when you see your friend that just like needs the stick, you give them the stick, okay? And like I could tell that you need that, and like and I've been witnessing it, right? Like I've seen you the last few months. So like the last enclosures we did together, and that was in your studio apartment, right? And like doing all
like
those
2 years ago almost.
Yeah. And like even that was really challenging to like muster up because it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
And I start overthinking and I start thinking, especially with the enclosure backgrounds, that it's like I start overthinking and those are hella permanent, right?
Right, because once they're in there, they're in there. And so once you do a couple iterations of having to do multiple enclosure upgrades, you're like, I really want it right the first time so I don't regret or have to make changes or whatever. And then you're just like in this cycle. So it was really cool to see. And you were just beaming. She was in her element and it was like absolutely fantastic to see. And if that like is what it took to like give you the confidence, I
needed that confidence boost. I've kind of been really struggling with that. So it was
probably for the best that we did it on our own then, because like that like, if we had done it together, but then that would have felt more like a we thing versus this is like you thing.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. That's a good point.
If we were together though, we would have been unstoppable.
Truly, which is probably why they didn't let us do it together.
Unstoppable. It's fine though. So yeah, I think that like covers day 2. We ended up with a pool party, which they do every year.
Yeah.
We never get in the pool, but it's always nice to hang out. I had like a pina colada, whatever. It was good.
I had like a strawberry daiquiri or something, I think, and it's just a nice little adventure with everybody.
And then day 3 was kind of weird vibes because the hurricane was like
imminent.
Yes, and a lot of people are Florida locals or have their animals outside. You know, so like basically it was like half of day 3, and then
Yeah.
it just kind of like
Yeah. And it also, day 3 is technically supposed to be like the family day for like kids and stuff. And so they had like this big like blow up alligator like ride thing happening in the back and all that. And so it was just a slower
very chill.
day.
Yeah, especially compared to day 2. Day 3 though was my favorite panel, working with reptiles, and we were on the panel together along with a few other people. But like I really enjoyed
I did too.
that panel, and they like asked some really great questions of like, what was the species that started it all for you? What are some of your biggest challenges with keeping, you know, working with reptiles, and like what are different ways that you make money working with reptiles? That's why I think this would be really good, just like future podcast topics, and we can just kind of give our 2 cents on on all of it. But I really enjoyed that panel.
No, that was honestly, I think out of all 3 of the panels I did, I think that one was probably my favorite. It was a really fun one. So
it was also raining on day 3, and I forgot my badge. I wrote that down.
Oh yeah.
I walk all the way back to the hotel and get my badge.
Yeah, it was raining because the hurricane was imminent.
Yeah. So but we were inside, so like wasn't too big of a deal.
Wasn't bad at all.
We did interviews with Exoterra. I did an interview with ZoomEd as well. So that was really cool just to chat with those guys. It's fun to see more of the brands kind of like trying to take on more podcast interview style content. So they should be posting those soon, I would think.
No, I think I've seen a couple, not ours, but I've seen a couple start coming out. So I love getting to do that kind of stuff, and it's fun. And just for anyone, I feel like we didn't describe this. This is kind of important. In the main room where there's the main stage where they do the speeches and some panels and things like that, there's also a whole section that has all the vendors, right? So it is a little bit like a mini reptile expo in the sense that there are like some animals, there are some animal booths, there are some
but they're
brands.
not really like selling stuff in the same way that you would in Expo. Like the ZoomEd booth, nothing's for sale. It's just for display, just so people kind of like see the products that they have coming out. There was one chameleon breeder that was actively selling animals, but for the most part, people weren't really selling. Selling things.
There was like one booth like full of crystals. There was one booth that had like a bunch of like the little crochet animals and some freeze dried candy and stuff. So there's like some stuff for sale, but
not in the same way like an expo would be.
And nobody expect there to be like animals for sale, because I don't think that's part of it. I don't think I saw even like one animal for sale. So
just like chameleons.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there were a couple, but not that many.
Not really. That's not the primary focus of it.
But it is fun to like walk around, get to know, and if you are an aspiring creator, that is where you can get to know some of the brands, some of the people who are in charge of the brands and things like that.
Build those relationships.
Yeah, so it's a lot of networking in that sense, which I think is really cool.
The relationships I built with ZoomEd stemmed from AnimalCon last year, and we've got some projects in the works now, and some things. Videos that I'll be coming out with and everything, and it's because I met them at the after party.
Oh yeah, and I mean
last year. To be clear,
I met at least one vendor that I'm very excited to potentially have something coming out with. So stay tuned for that. I'll share more when it's actually happening and real.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's a really fun way as a content creator to network, not only with other creators, not only with people who may consume your content, and then also with brands that are in the hobby that are very prominent and very important. So it's just the coolest event. Honestly, it's easily one of my favorites. I don't ever want to miss it.
And there was one more thing.
My favorite part.
And I feel like this episode's getting long, so we'll try and wrap it up. But Gatorland.
It was so cool. It was so cool.
Lived up to the hype. So this is what happened last year. We did not know Gatorland happened on Sunday night. So we heard 3-day event. So we booked our flights Sunday night. Lo and behold, Gatorland Sunday night. So we totally missed it.
I was so sad last year. I was so sad.
And the kicker of it is our flight got delayed. And we could have gone to Gatorland at least quickly, right? And then pop back.
Yeah.
But we obviously didn't know our flight was going to be delayed. So this year we flew out Monday so we could stay for Gatorland. And it was awesome.
Was so cool. It was so cool. The main thing that everybody kind of gets to do is like feed the gators, right?
Yep.
So they have this big beach that they literally go out there and they call all of these gators by name, which is
Hundreds.
so freaking cool. There are hundreds in there. But I would say on the beach there were probably like
30.
20 to 30
Yeah.
somewhere in there. Yeah, so under 50, but a lot of gators.
And they're big.
They're big. At least there were like 2 or 3 that were massive gators. And so they call them out by name. They all come up and then everybody kind of gets in a line and gets a glove and gets a little, chicken leg and gets to throw it into the big pile of gators. And it was so cool.
No, that was awesome. And I was like, "Hey, I'll film you. Yeah. You film me. Okay, you go."
So we were like
'Cause they're
switching the
trying
phone
to,
back and forth.
They're trying
moving
to like
quick.
hustle people,
Well, and I also realistically thank you to Gatorland for even still having us in the midst of a
yeah, because
hurricane,
again,
frankly.
there's a hurricane coming,
Yeah.
so they were in like hurricane prep, trying to like make sure everything was safe.
The fact that they still let us come was crazy.
Yeah, because it's like a private event. So like
Yeah.
Gatorland is close to the public at this point. They let all the AnimalCon VIP creators, all those guys come in, and then you just get to walk around, and it's this like
insane
massive facility, like giant swamp. It's like nighttime, and at a certain point it gets dark, and all you
could
see are like
all the
little
eyes.
eyeballs.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's sick.
So cool.
If you want to see, like, she posted TikToks.
Yeah.
My YouTube videos are already out. I'll have TikToks out as well. But you
Yeah.
guys can see, like, firsthand what that looks like. And it was phenomenal.
It was incredible. And the only other thing that I'll highlight about Gatorland is the leucistic alligators, which
Yep.
is absolutely wild that we got to get in the enclosure with one of them. That was
Which is
insane.
different than an albino.
Yes, leucistic specifically, if anybody knows like a blue-eyed Lucy ball python, that's very similar to the gene in alligators. And it is so rare that there are only 9 leucistic alligators that we know of in the world in captivity. And I'm pretty sure at Gatorland they have 3 of them.
At least 2.
At least two big ones, but the big deal was that they just had a leucistic baby hatch. And that is like wildly rare and exciting. So we didn't get to see the baby because we were seeing the big ones.
We were preoccupied doing other things.
Yeah, but we did get to see 2 of the big ones, and it was so freaking cool.
Yep.
It was so cool. I don't think I'll ever get over that.
Gatorland
peaked.
was sick.
Incredible.
Yeah, definitely worth sticking around for. Definitely one of the highlights of like literally the entire weekend between Disney and the panels and me never won. Like Gatorland was fabulous.
Absolutely. And we just had so much fun seeing all the like content creators, either people we haven't met before, people we have met in the past. Like
It's seriously one of my favorite events. I feel rejuvenated. Well, currently dying, but besides that, mentally,
physically,
mentally rejuvenated, like inspired and motivated and supported and loved and encouraged and like however you want to describe it.
just seen.
Yeah.
I feel so seen at AnimalCon in the sense that like you get more of an understanding of how everybody else feels. You realize that everybody else feels the same way you do and that you're not alone in that. And it's so inspiring. It's so exciting. Rejuvenated is the perfect word. Like it just feels so good to be in a room or a building with people who are all working towards the same goal in different ways.
Yep.
It is wildly cool and unique and special, and I always come away from it feeling so grateful and so special to be part of it. Honestly, like which
is a very different feeling than a reptile expo.
Yeah,
which is like rejuvenating and inspiring in a different way. Yeah,
but this is it just warms my heart. It makes me feel really good inside. I just love AnimalCon, and I love people, and I love all the people in this community.
Stop, you're mushy gushy over here.
I just love it. It was just such a great
So
event.
cute.
And I feel like also the more you go, the more comfortable you are in that setting.
Yeah. And these are relationships you're
Yeah.
building, and you're literally like the people you met from last year are there, but then you get to meet new people that weren't there the year before. And like, it's seriously one of my favorite events, and we will definitely be back next year. So if you have any questions about AnimalCon, like
let us know.
drop them in the chat. If you're considering going and you just like, want to hear more about what it's like look up all the different panels and like the schedule and everything. And like, we're always happy to answer any questions you guys might have about it.
And don't be afraid to apply as a creator next year.
Yeah.
That is, don't be afraid to apply. Even if you get turned down, you can probably do the Creators on the Rise program.
And like they're very
They're so
like
cool.
accepting of like they're not in the business to turn people away. Like the whole
No.
point of this is to foster community and to foster growth and like help people be successful.
Yeah. And the people who run AnimalCon are incredible. We love them and are just really appreciative of all the work that they put into it. So it's the best. We love
Should
it.
we wrap it there?
I think so. I think that's all I got to say.
Sweet. Yeah, this was besides me dying a couple of times in the middle of the episode, I promise the next one we'll be back. It is our Halloween episode, so I hope you guys are in for a treat.
Yes.
I believe also this episode is number 50 if I
Yes.
did my math right. So
I think it
that
is.
is also a very exciting milestone. Yes. So thank you guys so much for the last 50 episodes. We're just so grateful to be here. So
Thanks for being here. We wouldn't be here without you.
yeah, so follow the pod on all the socials. Leave us a review, rating, subscribe, comment,
things.
whatever. We love to hear from you guys.
You can find me at Lyssa's Lizards everywhere.
You can find me at Neptune the Chameleon.
And we will catch you girlies in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.